My name is Quentin D'Souza. I am the Chief Education Officer of the Durham Real Estate Investment Club. You're watching Real Deal Renos. This is a series of videos showing real estate investors in the local area how they're investing in real estate, what type of renovations they're doing, and how they're able to make cash flow. And you can do it too. Tyler, thanks for having us out to your house to take a look at the renovations that you've done and of your investment property.
Sure.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming out. I appreciate it.
All right. Can you describe who you are and what you do?
Sure. Well, you know me. I'm Tyler. I'm a real estate investor from the area. Looking to grow my portfolio. I've just completed coaching with a pretty smart guy, and so this is one of my properties, and I'd love to run you through my numbers and tell you what I've accomplished.
Cool. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Why did you like this particular property in this area? What do you like about this area?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, Quentin, there's a number of things that drew me towards this property. First off, it was a private deal.
Okay.
So I put out into the world what I was looking for. I posted an ad online. I said, I'm looking for this type of property in this area. And lo and behold, somebody hit.
Right.
So somebody called me and said, hey, Tyler, I got a 3-unit property. It's got lots of cool features that a landlord would like. It's in this area. And I popped by to have a peek. So this property was owned by an investor for about 15 years.
Right.
And he was just tired and done. He didn't live in the area. He hated coming out here to do maintenance and even collect the change from the coin-operated laundry and dryer. It was a pain in the butt for him. So
Right.
he was done, and he just wanted to pass it off to the next person and carry on with his life. So I found this property. I really like it because it is a multifamily property.
Right.
I've studied real estate, and I prefer to have a property that has more than one person paying the mortgage.
Right.
Having 2 units is better than one. Having 3 units has got to be better than 2. Right. So this is a 3-unit property.
Okay.
It's a 2-bedroom plus a 1-bedroom plus a 1-bedroom.
Okay.
And it was in a state of it needed repair.
Right.
So that was another really cool thing that I like to do with the property, because I'm a tradesman myself and I like doing renovations. So I found that I'd be able to buy this property, put in a certain amount of money, and raise the value more than I put in. So that was another great thing that drew me towards this property.
Cool. What would your rents have been before you took the property and you did the renovations?
Sure.
Can you give me an example of what the rents were?
Yeah, so when I took possession, 2 of the units were vacant, which is another huge bonus.
Right.
When I was purchasing.
Yeah.
The landlord previous told me that he was renting out the 2 1-bedroom units for about $650 to $700,
Right.
All inclusive.
Right.
So they were not pretty. They needed a lot of work. There was smashed stained carpet, holes in the walls.
Right.
It wasn't looking too great. So he didn't get very good quality tenants in here, and he just collected what he could. So $650 to $700 all in is what he was able to collect.
Right.
So being with those 2 units were vacant, those are the units that I renovated right away.
Right.
And lifted the rents, and now I'm collecting $925 plus electrical.
Right.
So
For each unit?
Yeah.
Each of the 2 units. Wow. So that's a $600 increase
Sure
in
is.
the rents in those units.
easily.
And in addition to those rents, you're also collecting change from the coin-operated machine?
Yeah, there's coin-operated washer and dryer downstairs, and I collect approximately $75 a month, depending on their usage.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, the seller said it can be up towards 100, but it depends on who's living here and what they're doing, right? But that's pretty cool. Also, there's a detached garage. It isn't renovated yet. It needs some work in there. I need to put some drywall and redo the electrical.
Right.
But that's another income source that I plan on utilizing in the future. And actually, one of the tenants that lives in the house right now wants that unit in the springtime, or he wants to rent that as part of his lease.
Cool.
And use it for his own purposes.
What do you think you'd rent that for?
It's not flashy, it's not great. I think I could probably rent it out for about $150. Maybe I could push for more if I really made it spiffy inside, but I'm not going to put a whole lot of work into there. I'm just going to make sure the electrical works, make sure it's clean, dry, and pass it off.
That's all. So $600 already increased from your renovations, another $150 for your garage. So you've basically increased the rents from this property by $750.
And that's not all.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Well, there's more to go.
All right.
So this house in particular, I adopted one tenant.
Right.
So one tenant has been here for a long period of time.
Right.
She has below market rent
Right.
in this house. She's only paying a little over $800 a month for a 2-bedroom unit, plus a living room, plus a dining room, hardwood floors, big window, 4-piece bath. It's a good unit, and market rents in this area are closer to $12,000 to $12,500.
Wow.
For a 2-bedroom, which I would also turn into a 3-bedroom. I'd kibosh the dining room because it's not really needed in today's world, right? And so I would offer it as a 3-bedroom, probably rent it out for $12,500 plus utilities once it's renovated. Needs a little bit of work, but that's another $400 or $500 that I can up my cash flow just by renovating one of the units.
That's excellent. That's great.
It's really good.
So if you were to like describe some of the renovation, I know that the units all are already rented.
Yes, they are.
But if you would describe some of the renovations that you did on the property,
Sure.
You know, and I don't know if we can even get into see some of the common areas.
Yeah, most definitely. We can definitely take a peek at the common areas there. So most of the work that I did was cosmetic.
Wow.
Simple stuff, right? I went in there, I painted, new flooring, new light fixtures, switches, outlets, covers, things like that, new trim, and that's basically it. I did some work outside, some work inside, and simple things like this was all chipped up paint, and I made it fresh and white. It's clean, it's nice, you know?
Good.
So I did that sort of thing, but on top of that, during negotiations, during the purchase of this property, I actually had the old owner, the seller, do some of the work for me. So, for example, there was a 60-foot oak tree that was dead in the backyard.
Can we go take a look?
Sure, there's just a stump there now.
Yeah.
But I was able to negotiate and have that removed. To me, that's at least a $2,000 value to have something removed.
Those big trees
A huge
can cost
tree.
quite
So
a
this,
bit, yeah.
this was a big white ash tree, and it went straight up, and it was dead. So it was a hazard,
Right.
And it had to go eventually. So if I can get it done before I take possession, that's one way I was able to add value to the deal.
Yeah, and I noticed that when because I had the privilege of coming before, I noticed that there was tarps on the roof and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And what was the story with that? Did the seller also do that sort of stuff?
Sure.
For you? Yeah.
That hurt me a little bit during the purchase phase, but in the long run, it was beneficial.
Yeah.
There was a small attic space, and there was actually squirrels in the attic
Right.
during the negotiations and purchasing phase. So I said, you got to take care of that, and that's got to go. And he ended up ripping the shingles off the little ledge here at the back of the house, and that's what he had to do in order to repair it, get the squirrels out of there, clean it all up, replace the insulation, make it all great again. So when you came here, he had the roof torn apart and it was tarped over. And unfortunately, that's when my purchase appraisal was happening.
Oh.
So my appraisal didn't come in too great.
Right.
Purchase price is one thing. Appraisal came in about 15 grand lower than our negotiated price.
Right.
Which kind of sucked because I had to fork out more cash up front to close on the deal. So that was about 15 grand that I wasn't anticipating having to throw in the deal.
Yeah.
But did in order to close.
Yeah. Okay.
So
and that happens, right?
It happens.
This is all part of being an investor, kind of like rolling with the punches, being able to adapt and be able to adjust, right?
You got it.
But so after you've done all those renovations, you've raised the value of the property.
Sure.
Could you share a little bit about your purchase price, the cost of renovations, and maybe your
By all means.
appraised value?
So, purchase price was $280,000.
Yeah.
I like that price right off the bat. I think that
For a 3-unit property.
For a 3-unit
and
property.
an extra detached garage, coin laundry too.
you got it.
Wow.
You got
Okay.
it. You got it. So that's a pretty good price, and I don't think you're going to find deals like that on MLS very often. That was a private deal, and really, I came up with the price.
Yeah.
The seller didn't even have an asking price. He said, "Make me an offer." I haggled with the guy, tried to draw the information out of him, but it wouldn't happen. He said, "Tyler, put something in writing, then we'll talk."
Right.
So that's what we did, and so my purchase price was $280. The appraisal was $265. Kind of sucked, but in the end, after my renovations, which took 51 days,
Yeah.
it was reappraised for $350,000.
350. Wow.
So from appraisal to appraisal, 51 days, $85,000 lift based on appraisals.
Excellent. And
Right.
what was the cost of the renovations?
Cost of renovations probably only about $10,000.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
It
That
right.
is awesome.
It's right. Yeah.
So basically, you're saying that you were able to take 70. 70 is still in the property. You put 10 in, so that means you got paid to buy this property.
in a way, yeah. The way I look at it is my net worth went up 60 grand by buying this property and working on it for 2 months.
So you got no money into it.
Virtually, I have closing costs and renos left into it.
Okay, so you got
I have $15,000 left.
15,000 left. Okay.
At the same time, that's from a line of credit.
Right.
So I really have no money into this property.
Right.
So
15,000 is amazing. For what type of cash flow are you talking about?
gross, we're
Okay,
looking
and not including vacancy, repair, maintenance.
exactly.
Yeah,
I'd say
okay.
gross.
Yeah.
We're looking at about $800 currently.
800, excellent.
currently.
So-
And I have about 400 to go once I take over the main floor, renovate that, and re-rent it back out.
Perfect. That's excellent.
Plus the garage. So, there's still a little ways to go.
Right, yeah. So that's so 400, 1150 you could be cash flowing per month gross.
North of grand easily.
Yeah, in one house.
One house.
That's great.
Yeah.
So it's this is an excellent income property. Lots of value lift. The fact that you're able to get most of your money out means that you can rinse and repeat, do it again and again, right?
Working on it right now.
Just keep going with it, right?
Sure.
Would it be okay if we took a look around your property
By all
and
means.
you take a look at the common areas?
Sounds good.
Anyways?
All right, let's do it. So this is the side door entrance. It's the main entrance for the upper and lower unit, but it also has access to the main floor as well.
Wow, this is nice. This is a lot cleaner than it was.
A lot cleaner than it
when
was
I
before.
saw last. Yeah.
But all simple stuff. Fresh carpet, fresh laminate flooring, new trim, new paint, new light fixtures, and that's pretty much it. I didn't do any structural changes. Didn't have to pull any permits or do any real work around here. It was all cosmetic. It was simple stuff. So I did the carpet myself, installed the flooring myself, painted all myself. Well, I hired out some of the work. That was a tip from Quentin. He said, "Stop doing everything yourself, Ty." But,
okay, so let's look at. So this is the common area in the basement with the coin-operated laundry. And
you got it.
Okay.
So this is our laundry room here.
Let's take a peek.
Nothing too fancy, but clean enough and lots of room for anybody to do their laundry and to live here. This property had a lot of cool features that I liked as a landlord. So take, for example, we have 3 separate water heaters here in the property. So
right.
One tenant isn't using up all the hot water and leaving the next tenant with no hot water for the shower in the morning. So everyone has their own hot water, which is really cool.
Are they individually rented?
They're all owned.
Oh, they're owned.
They're
They're owned. So the previous owner had purchased them.
You got it.
Wow.
For sure, yeah. So they're all owned, they're all electric,
Right.
and they're all tied in individually to separate electrical panels. This house has 4 electrical meters, one for the common areas, which I pay, and every other meter is paid directly by the tenants. So they pay for their own electrical consumption and even heating their own water. So that's, if they want to waste things, by all means, go ahead, but you're paying for it.
Excellent. And you still have the oil tank, right?
We have oil, yeah.
So
that was
that's
one of the things that I wasn't too excited about because I don't have any experience
Right.
prior to this property.
But you did it anyways. You moved forward, right?
You got it. I did it anyway.
And what have you been finding having an oil tank?
It still pumps hot heat. It's not too tricky,
Cost-wise?
Maybe once a year. I haven't had to pay anything for it yet because it was already full when I took possession of the property. So we're a little above half right now. So I will have to call to get this thing filled up at some point.
Yeah.
But I haven't had to take that step just yet. So
Okay, cool.
maybe in January I'll have to make a call.
Right.
Get the oil tank refilled.
Do you know how much it would cost to fill it up?
I'm not 100% sure, but ballpark $1,000.
$1,000. And for how long do you think that?
I think we might have to use 2 tanks for an entire cold season.
For an entire cold season. Okay.
Yeah.
So like you're talking like November to March?
Something like that, yeah. Maybe a little bit before that, on a little more.
Okay.
Well, on either side. But
on either side for 3 units, right?
oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, so didn't do too much work down here other than just whitewash the walls. I mean, it was
Clean
just
it up.
it was chipped concrete, things like that. But just by painting it white, it makes it brighter in here. I had a little leftover carpet, so I just threw some carpet down in here to make it clean. One extra little benefit down here is all the tenants get their own little storage area. So when they have a little bit of junk, they can tuck it down here and keep it out of their apartments.
Cool.
And that's that.
Right.
There's a little storage area in here.
Is that for you or?
Yeah, it just has a little bit of junk in there, a little bit of paint, a few.
Oh, it's the landlord's
Yeah.
shed right
Exactly,
there.
a few supplies for doing renos and that sort of thing.
Excellent.
And one of my favorite features of the property was the electrical room,
Right.
and the 4 separate panels. So this was a real treat when I first came to the property. I was blown away to find that there was 4 separate electrical panels. They all take they all have 60 amp breakers on them right now, but they can be up to 100. and it's clean.
Individually metered.
Individually metered. We're good to go.
That's excellent. That just makes it so much easier, not to worry about a lot of that.
For sure.
When it comes to having, Christmas lights, having, lights on in different units.
Yep.
Being more responsible because having to pay the utilities that you use, and with all those increases, November 1st and then the beginning of January with the hydro rates increasing, Tyler's smiling because he's not paying.
My
for
bill
those.
is going to be pretty small.
Yeah, that's right. Excellent.
And the way I look at it is the laundry pays for the electrical for the common areas. It's a wash.
Very
so
cool.
I don't really pay for electrical consumption here at the house.
Excellent. That's a good way of thinking about that.
Yeah.
So it's just one of the expenses, but you're covering your expense anyways.
It's done.
Yeah, and I guess your garage is going to be covering the rest of your costs, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
if you think of when you rent out that garage, then those oil heating bill, gets covered by that and
Sure.
goes down, and so you're just looking at the pushing up your numbers on those units. And
You got that right. Yeah, continually try to reduce costs and increase income. So
excellent.
that's the
So.
plan.
Do you have some tips that you would like? Just say another investor who's starting out just wanted to get into doing something like this. This is a great property.
Sure.
Excellent property.
Thank you.
What kind of tips could you give them? To go through the process and.
Well, I guess one little tip that doesn't have a whole lot to do with this property in particular, but something that I did take away from this experience. When purchasing this property, there was a holdback built into the offer because I did have the seller doing some work for me. He had to paint the property, he had to change some windows, he had to take down that tree, he had to remove debris. There was a bunch of things that he had to do in order for the deal to work. And my lawyer recommended that we do a holdback in the property. So we were holding back $7,000 until the completion of that work. All the work wasn't completed. Not all the work got done before closing. And it's been a bit of a painful experience trying to reduce the price of the property or negotiate that holdback and to not necessarily pay him everything because he didn't do everything he was supposed to. One thing I would do in the future, instead of doing a holdback, see if you can change that into a price reduction. So
Right.
build that into the offer that if all the work isn't done prior to closing, there's a price reduction instead of a holdback. Because a holdback just ties up the money, it's locked in a lawyer's account right now.
Right.
And
Back and forth.
back and forth. It's a little bit painful, and it's something that I try to avoid in the future.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Sure.
But the fact that you actually included that and thought about that is great too, right?
Sure.
Being able to have some options and having your get your seller to do the work. Now, I think that's really related to how you purchase the property, right?
Yes.
Because in MLS deals, it's when there's more competition in for properties, you might find that it's a little bit more difficult to have those aspects in there. But because you went differently than a lot of people, you're able to get it at a great price. But you also had the ability to deal directly with the seller.
Yes.
So you don't have that gatekeeper that you usually have in transactions. So it's really interesting to see, have the benefit of being able to deal directly with the seller and negotiate that. Now it's not always easy, and it's not always, you have the holdback and you're having some trouble with it, but the numbers of the property really shows how well you did, right?
For sure.
So congratulations.
Once again, thank
This
you.
is awesome. I need a high five.
All right.
We've
We've got sprinklers
we
too.
get really excited here because the super cash flow.
That's right.
So excellent property, great real estate investment, and this is awesome. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Keep going.
All right. Will do.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.